Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here with L.A. Marzulli. As you guys know, he is very huge into UFOs. He's been studying Fatima and giants and everything in that realm. But he's got some brand new information that he's kind of tied in with earlier information that he's had. And he's released a new video, DNA evidence, And you guys have to hear some of the things that I heard at the convention, here the Watchmen convention that I'm at. And they're just profound, some of the things that he found. So I guess we'll just jump right in.
That sounds good.
You kind of tested some of the different Paracas skulls and all the skulls that are, I guess, South America out there and scattered across the earth. And what are some of the things that you found? Because I know the theory is, for those of you who don't know, we have, or the Bible version is, not theory, I call it fact because that's what I believe to be, is you have the Nephilim who were born out of, fallen angels having sex with the women, and it is believed that this could be some of the skulls, correct?
Correct. What we think, and this is conjecture, well, the basic hypothesis is that around 3,500 years ago, when Joshua and Caleb are pressing the conquest of the Promised Land, you have all these different Nephilim tribes. You have the Zanzamim, the Emim, the Rephaim, the Nephilim, the Anakim. And it's interesting, they all have, when you look at those names, the names are translated, like Anakim means long necks. Why is that there? And so what we see in Paracas, in Peru, is about 3,500 years ago, 3,300 years, 3,500 years, somewhere in that time frame, that window of time, these people show up on the shores of Paracas, which is on the west coast of Peru. Very beautiful bay, been there many times, and they're not like any other culture in the area. They have, many of them have greatly elongated skulls. They have what appears to be the use of the wheel, and the wheel is pre-Columbian, did not exist in South America. And the reason why we say that is the pottery is very thin, very uniform, and you can hold it on a table and spin it, and it will just spin perfectly, and it's very thin. So it's not like they roll the clay and then they roll another little worm, and then not like that at all. It's extremely thin and uniform all around. And the only way you can achieve that, in my opinion, is with some sort of a wheel. So did they have the use of the wheel? Yeah, maybe. The textiles, again, are very elaborate. The mummification, very elaborate. There are date palms, which are not indigenous to Peru, found in Paracas. Hundreds of date palms, which come from the Middle East. There's pictures of the Paracas with turbans, which come from the Middle East. Again, indigenous people, they seem completely out of place. But what's interesting, and what piqued our interest, was the elongated skulls. And there's two schools of thought. One school, which is the prevailing view, by the way, is that all these are cradle headboarded, nothing to see here, go home. So we took DNA samples. It took us almost 3.5 years to get permission from the Minister of Culture. And our archaeologist, Mando Gonzalez, was able to fill out the paperwork, and lots of back and forth. I mean, it's a lot of paper, a lot of red tape. We went through all the red tape, and we found out that we could take samples from the Ica Museum, which we did, and also Senior Juan's Museum without a permit because it's a private museum. So we're not taking skulls out, we're taking very small powder, hair samples, that type of thing. And we tested the DNA, and what we found was extremely revealing. And I want to say something here, that people will immediately go, oh, contamination, contamination. The protocols we put in place for the collection of our DNA was incredible. We had, first of all, we had lab suits where they're basically suits that you step into, zip up the front, and then you've got another sleeve which goes over the existing sleeve, 2 pairs of rubber gloves, boots, helmet, a little hat thing, gauze, and I'm wearing glasses. So could it be contaminated? Yeah, it could be, but we would don these suits outside the room where the artifact was. Then we would go into the room with the artifact. We would take a brand new Dremel, put it in the Dremel bit, put it in the Dremel, turn the skull over, and just lightly, in the area we're going to take a sample from, lightly scrape off the patina. Then we take that bit out and take the paper that all the stuff fell into, throw the paper away. Now we have a clean sheet of paper underneath and a brand new Dremel bit. I mean, the protocols, we were people in the scientific community looked at our protocols and applauded us for our, in the field. And we have to thank Chase Klotsky for helping with this. She was amazing in the field. Hats off to you, Chase. And so we would take a brand new Dremel bit, put that in, and go in and get the powder. and sometimes we take a little bit of bone, sometimes a tooth, sometimes hair. So it's multiple samples from different parts of the skull. Sent those up at 2 different labs. One of the labs refuses to go public, so But the other one, the Canadian Paleo DNA Lab, allows us to use their name. In fact, they're kind of proud of what they do. And their specialty is looking at ancient DNA. Ancient DNA, 2,000, 3,000 years old. It's very difficult to extract DNA from that, but they were able to do that. And out of the 58 samples that we provided,
and that's a 58 different
58
samples. So it wasn't just one DNA test; it was multiple.
58 samples from probably about, I'm going to say, close to 20 different skulls. Wow. Okay, so is it an exhaustive study? No, not yet, and that's why we're still on the trail. But many of the results came back, and this is what's telling, came back European or Middle Eastern. Now, the skeptic will say, oh, well, why is it coming at Middle Eastern and European all the time? That shouldn't be there. They all should be haplogroups coming from Asia, because the prevailing paradigm is at the end of the last ice age, everybody came down through the Bering Strait, which was a land bridge at the time. Now it's underwater. We're saying something's going on here, and it fits our hypothesis, which is that the possibly Nephilim tribes came over, but there's morphological difference. So it's really a 1-2 punch in the study. And the film, the film was at the press conference. 8 people contributed to that. Myself, Richard Shaw, Brian Forrester, Chase Klotsky, our archaeologist Mondo Gonzalez, our anthropologist Rick Woodward, Dr. Michael Alday, a medical doctor for almost 35 years, and then Malcolm Warren, a chiropractor. So it was a multidisciplinary team looking at these. Where it gets real interesting is Rick Woodward, the anthropologist, who looked at the base of the skull and was able to ascertain that there are morphological differences, structural differences within the skulls, which shouldn't be there. There's something called a brain hole. It's basically where your spinal column goes in and attaches to the base of your neck. That hole is called the foramen magnum. The foramen magnum and the Paracas skulls are pushed all the way back to the rear plate. But it's missing things like the foramen ovales, which have little holes where all these nerve endings and blood vessels go up. So what we're doing, and if you're watching this and you're a medical doctor, I will send you a free DVD and a free book, and I ask you to read it, look at the data, tell us what we're going wrong. But if we're not going wrong, I would ask you to write a paragraph validating our research.
And do you have a contact email or website?
It would just be la@lamarzulli.net. And I mean this, if you're watching this and you're a medical doctor or a chiropractor, an anthropologist, an archaeologist, I will send you the material for free, review it, and then tell us where we're going wrong. I'm not going to edit your stuff. I will print whatever you send to me. But we're trying to get a consortium of people to come on board and look at this and say, wait a minute, this is not crazy headboarding. And even here at the Watchmen conference, I've had a couple of anthropologists come up, I had some medical doctors come up, and just a cursory examination of the data, they're going, there's no way you kill the kid. In other words, if you try to move the head back towards the foramen magnum, you'll kill the child.
And that's exactly what you see on
Bingo.
the skull.
The foramen magnum is all the way back to the occipital plate, the rear plate. And what's interesting is, anatomically, because of the position of the foramen magnum, and this is the work of Marcia Moore, all right? And she's a forensic artist. Marcia posited that because the foramen magnum is so far back, that in order and the head's so elongated, in order to balance the skeleton, they would need a longer neck. She had no idea who the Anakim were. She didn't know that. So she sends me this picture with this long neck, and I write her back and go, why did you do this? And she said, well, because of the position of the foramen magnum, I just figured that in order to balance this thing, you'd have to have a much longer neck. I said, well, are you aware that one of the Nephilim tribes is called the Anakim, which translates long neck?
Oh,
now,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's an oh wow moment. We can't prove that yet, but it's just another, look, research is like in a hypothesis. You have a hypothesis and then you go test it. It's a scientific method. That's what we're doing. So we're not saying these are the Anakim, but they might be. They might be. And it's like, my gut's telling me, well, maybe so. I don't know.
Well, there's multiple ones. That's the thing. And even you were bringing up there's differences in the sutures, right? What is that one?
It's called a sagittal suture.
Sagittal suture.
Again, it's cranial synostosis. Not so fast, citizen. You don't know what it is.
Not when there's multiple.
Multiple.
It's okay,
exactly.
You have one in there, two in there, but when lots of them, you have a different story.
There's something genetic going on here, and we think it's a subspecies, which is what the Nephilim are. The Nephilim are a subspecies of human beings. We are in the process of acquiring an artifact in a private collection in America, And we're hoping to be able to get the artifact, and if we do, it's got teeth. We would extract the teeth, and then we would ship the teeth right up to the paleo DNA lab. If we get the nuclear DNA, that's what we're after. That's sort of like the treasure trove.
Are you able to, with the DNA that you've tested, has anything come back unidentified, if you will? Or have you been able to test ones like that?
We used UCLA lab with with samples from the baby, which is about a 1,935-year-old skull, which we unwrapped.
Was that the one in the stomach?
That was an 18, yeah, different one.
Okay.
This is the one we got to unwrap in Senior One's museum.
Wow.
And Joe Taylor and others were there. Aaron Judkins was there, our archaeologist at the time, did a superlative job. But we unwrapped this thing, and we sent some of the material to UCLA, which has very powerful sequencing. Yeah. And they were excited by the data. But we've had no one to date that can interpret the data. It's very extremely complex when you get that kind of data.
So they don't really have a conclusion in it.
No conclusion. If we get the nuclear DNA and it comes back, it's anomalous. It's not any known primate. We don't know what it is. Now we're off to the races. Does it still prove it's fallen angel, mating with the women of Earth? Is it Nephilim DNA? We don't know because we have nothing to compare it to.
I know that's true.
We have nothing to compare it to.
So it would be unidentifiable.
But if it does, we're going to stand up and say at that point, wow, something's going on, isn't it?
Yeah.
We need to research more. And that's why, look, research is ongoing. It's just like, for instance, Piltdown Man, which turned out to be a complete hoax, is still in the science books today. Why is that? Why is Piltdown Man still taught as fact when it's a bunch of hooey? Why is it even there? So all we're saying, and the pushback is unbelievable from academia, and that's just what they do. They don't want to rewrite the textbooks, I guess. And God forbid someone who doesn't have a degree like Elliot Marzulli actually do some research. We're in the field and we're doing research. And if I don't understand something, I go to somebody who does. That's why we have Mondo Gonzalez as our archaeologist, Rick Woodward, who teaches anthropology, and Dr. Michael Alday, and Malcolm Warren, and others are joining the team on the periphery. So it's a team of people.
And many highly degree men. That's good, And so these are the same kind of people you're going to use to do any scientific study.
Absolutely.
But of course, they don't want to take it in that direction because the more you go in that direction, the more evidence there is for God and Jesus and the Bible. So
and they don't want that. That's what's at stake here. If it points back to the validity of a Nephilim, then oh my gosh, maybe there is a God.
Yes.
Maybe I am a depraved human being that needs a savior. Oh no, I'm actually really good. Nonsense.
I'd rather have the answers. Let's find the answers.
Let's find what the answers are. Right?
And that should be your typical scientist. Well, if it's God, let's find that.
Right.
And if it has to do with Christianity, let's find that. Or
let's
whatever.
go where the evidence leads.
Exactly.
And that's what we're doing, folks. That's why if you watch the DVD, which is what the press conference was almost 3 hours long.
Yeah.
And in the DVD, no one ever states these are the Nephilim. We have all the answers. We just say more testing needs to be done. But this is what we have, and we find it to be astounding.
Absolutely.
The morphological differences, the fact that the haplogroups are European and Middle Eastern.
Absolutely.
That's very telling.
Now here's the one thing that I want to kind of close with. Oh, sorry.
That's right.
In your study over there, you were talking about how there's more being disclosed from Fox News to actually mainstream media is talking about it, which is obviously there because they want it there.
Right.
What do you see in the very near future? Is disclosure something you think they are pushing?
I think we crossed a Rubicon. There's a line in the sand, whatever analogy you want to use, in December of 2017. Because you had Fox News Tucker Carlson bringing out this guy, F-18 pilot Fravor, which was at the time classified UFO footage. So he's there showing the footage on Fox and telling that he saw this thing. It was not of this world. He staged that right on the record. And Tucker Carlson goes, gee, this is a pretty important story. Why aren't we talking more about it? The question is, how does Fravor get to Fox News?
Exactly.
That's the question. How does this non-entity, no one knows who this is. It's not like he's got a blog with 3 million followers, like somebody over here almost, right? He's a nobody. He's not even a C player. No, he's an unknown. Right. All of a sudden, he's on Fox News. How does that work? With the footage. Where did that come from?
They want it.
They want it. They trot out this guy. He's articulate. He looks good. He's an F-18 pilot. Here's the footage. They do the interview. The American people in the churches, flatline. Not a response. Harry Reid goes on the record
That was surprising.
in December, same year,
Definitely.
that there's a government organization, a government
To the Stars Academy.
not that's another one.
That's another.
That's a third thing. But Harry Reid just says, look, there's a government think tank to study UFOs, and the interviewer never asked a question. Well, Harry, how are they studying them? Are they looking at black and white photos from the 50s and trading them and swapping them? Or are they back engineering craft? Are they looking at bodies? Are they doing data? How are they studying UFOs? What is that? And it's something like $30 million, taxpayer money, now we find out. And then the government admits Area 51. This is all in December. Since then, there's been every 15, 20 days, another story on mainstream media, and there was one just last night.
Yes.
Just last night, Tucker Carlson again, another UFO story coming out, and the guy just says, what do you do when something's at 80,000 feet and descends quickly, rapidly to 20,000 feet, and then zoom, and they're down 50 feet over the water, just hovering, and kind of playing a cat and mouse, tag game with a Navy destroyer or whatever. I mean, something's going on here, and so I think, and look, I don't have a crystal ball here, folks, but this is disclosure, ongoing disclosure. And it's for a reason, It's soft disclosure, but it's actually hard disclosure, because what's next? And I talked about this here, the Watchmen. I said, are they going to trot out, footage from a 1947 wreckage where they're out there, the camera's panning like this, and they're showing the actual wreckage? I mean, what would people do? Nothing. The UFO community would go, oh, we knew it was true. The general populace, they could care less. They're completely ambivalent with all, and the churches are completely ambivalent with it. They don't want nothing to do with it. That's sinful. So here it is. It's on Fox News. It's all over the mainstream media. And the churches, you would think, would be addressing this. Flatline, totally flatline.
That's what breaks my heart.
And breaks my heart too. That is the coming great deception, in my opinion.
Yes.
Because when a mile-wide chip appears anywhere on this planet and just sits there for 72 hours, that's the game changer.
Yep, and it's very likely they're going to be, these are your gods. We created you.
That's the deal. That's what they will say. That's what they will say.
They're not.
They're not. Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
No Kool-Aid. All right, well, LA, will you share any information on your website? I'll have your YouTube video and all of it below.
LAMarzulli.net, LAMarzulli.net. Thanks, Lisa.
Perfect. And he has a YouTube channel too, so make sure you follow that. And thanks again for tuning into my channel. This is Lisa Haven and LA Marzulli signing out.
Thank you.
Thank you.